Hello, good morning, everyone. We are going to discuss the tasks that you have done individually at home. It is about identifying finite and non-finite verbs. As we have learned, finite verbs is the main verbs that attach closely to the subject. Meanwhile, non-finite has no limitation and it is rarely attached to the subject. So suppose to say that non-finite verbs used to be almost in the middle or in the end of a sentence. So let's try to find out. The first one, the first part here, we have a passage and you need to identify or group them into the table based on the bold verbs. Okay, let's take a look at the first sentence. Here, however, there were other issues to be considered. Here we have the word is attached to there were. So here in this case, this is the main verb. And then we have to be considered. This is to plus verb one or to infinitive by the end of the sentence. So this is included as non-finite verbs. And then the next one, we have a very special form of sentence. We have this. Firstly, as Stuart McIntyre points out, Australia at the turn of the century was very dependent on Britain. So I guess that most of you are trapped in this issue. So the subject is not Stuart McIntyre. No, this is not the subject. But the subject is Australia. So the finite one is was. So this is the finite, whereas Stuart McIntyre points out here is included as non-finite. How could that happen? This is called as appositive. Okay, so what is appositive? Right, let me explain it to you that there is a kind of sentence that has appositive. So I will explain it in this sheet as well. Okay, so appositive is when we have subject, comma, and comma again, and then you have the verb. So things that is in this comma, between this comma, is called as appositive. Okay. Appositive. So for example, I have Kim Kardashian's. And then this is said as she, hold on, the most favorite artist. Okay, favorite artist drives a car every day. Okay, so here the word the most favorite artist belongs to appositive. And then as what we have in the sentence above, we have frankly. Let me copy the sentence. This one, as Stuart McIntyre points out. So you should be curious with the word as here. Let me change the name to make it easier. For example, as Andrizal points out, and Australia was very dependent to Britain. Okay, so be curious about the word as here. So as Andrizal points out, so then Andrizal here is not the subject because we have to always remember that a subject is the most beginning of a sentence, that it's the most starter of a sentence. If you have as here, then so unresolved here is not the subject. Thus, points out become the non-finite. Okay, so this one is non-finite because it is not attached to the subject, and the subject is Australia. So the finite form is was. Okay, this is the finite. Okay, it's so difficult to write with. Okay. Okay, so this one is finite and the green one is non-finite. So be more careful if you have a sentence like this. Be careful about appositive. Yeah, the indicators is like appositive used to be bracketed in 2 commas. Okay, so let's continue our discussion. The next sentence here, Britain not only bought over half of Australian exports, but also provided over half of Australia's exports-imports. So the subject is Britain. So then you have bought and provided. Both of them are attached to the subject, which is Britain. So who bought over half of Australian exports? It's Britain. Who provided over half of Australian exports? It's Britain. So yeah, bought and provided, 5 and 6 belongs to finite verbs. The next one we have, secondly, there was the ratification of the 1887 Naval Agreement. Okay, this is easy. It's the same with the first sentence. So was here belongs to finite. And then this agreement highlighted, okay, highlighted here also the finite, and most of you are correct because to become involved belongs to non-finite. While the last one we have, okay, another appositive. Unfortunately, as field has shown, okay, so has shown here belongs to non-finite and were belongs to the finite. So we have 4 finite verbs and the rest belongs to the finite. Okay. And then the next one, we must take a look at some sentences that might have grammatical errors in the finite verbs. So let's check. Number 1, the doctor should have warned him. So we have the doctor as the subject, and then should have warned him. There is no mistake here because should, all the models, should, could, must, have, must always be followed by verb 1. Jadi models itu semua harus diikuti verb 1. And here, because this is a conditional sentence, so should have warned. Seharusnya bisa mengingatkan. So this is a kind of pengandaian ya, seandainya saat itu bisa diingatkan. That is why should have verb 3. This is correct. So we do not need to make any change. What about number 2? Here, he must has. As what I have said before, model harus diikutin verb 1. So must have. Ya, harusnya must have. And then the next one we have, he was apprehended. This is correct. Karena ini passive voice ya, jadi to be plus verb 3. The next one we have they arresting him. As what I have always said to you that verb ing cannot stand alone by themselves unless it is a gerund. Gerund posisinya di depan ya kalau jadi subjek. So this one is wrong because subjeknya they berarti kan bukan gerund kan subjeknya. Subjeknya pronoun. Berarti arresting here salah ya, harus ada to be-nya, are arresting him. Kenapa are? Karena subjeknya they. Also number 5, no errors ya. Kalau have already berarti diikutin. Oh sorry, number 5 it's wrong. They already been completed ya. Verb 3 itu juga nggak bisa sendirian. Jadi dia harus ada have di depannya. So atau has ya. Tapi kalau di sini have karena they have already completed. Okay, so if the second part there are some sentences that have already been correct, some others are still unacceptable. In the third part, all the sentences are unacceptable. Jadi harus dibenerin semua. So the first one, she making a cake. Yang benar adalah she is making a cake ya. Verb ing nggak bisa sendirian unless dia adalah gerund. Ini bukan gerund ya karena dia di samping subjek tapi nggak ada kata kerjanya, kata kerja finite-nya nggak ada, jadi harus dikasih to be. She is making a cake. Number 2, wearing a school uniform has a form of equality. Nggak boleh double ya, finite verbs. Ingat dia dalam satu sentence, kalau dia simple sentence berarti hanya boleh ada one subject dan one verb gitu. Jadi ini harus dihilangin salah satu. Is-nya boleh, has-nya boleh. Tapi kalau secara meaning, is itu lebih appropriate. So, pakai seragam itu menunjukkan kesetaraan. Itu. Wearing a school uniform is a form of equality. Nomor 3, to empower housewives made. Ini tentang pengetahuan, menguji tentang pengetahuan kita semua, tentang bentuk kata kerja bentuk kedua ya, verb to. Jadi bukan make tapi makes. Nih ya. Kalau misalnya mau kalian pakai made juga boleh ya. So both of them are correct karena di sini gak ada keterangan waktu apapun. Terus number 4, cooking. Ya ini juga verb ing ya. Verb ing yang deketan sama subjek tapi nggak ada to be-nya, kan bukan ya, nggak bisa gitu. Jadi harus dikasih to be. Nah, pemilihan kata cooking ini juga kurang pas, karena cake, kue itu dipanggang ya, bukan dimasak. Jadi di sini is baking a cake. Gitu. Tapi kalau teman-teman ada yang jawab cooking, ya nggak apa-apa deh. Mungkin cooking pancake ya, kayak kue cucur gitu kan. Dia di wajan ya, jadi nggak dipanggang. Oke, number 5, Jerome Pauline always create a YouTube video. Ya, karena Jerome Pauline itu tunggal, sendirian, harus pakai S ya. So, creates. Jerome Pauline always creates. The next one, we have Erina not like cupcake. Not like, ini not itu nggak bisa sendirian juga, dia harus diikutin, didahului dengan to be atau do, does, atau have, has gitu ya. Karena not itu artinya tuh enggak gitu. Jadi kalau di bahasa Inggris enggak itu harus dikasih finite verbs. Jadi ini belum ada ini finite verbs-nya belum ada. Nah, karena di sini Erina itu sendirian, ya udah berarti kita pakai S ya, does not like. Ini, does not like. Oke, the next we have Loki. Loki juga sendirian, jadi pakai S ya. Loki wants to join a meeting. And then number 8, establishing an economic opportunity will reduce. Nah, will itu kan juga modal ya. Sama kayak should, sama kayak can, sama kayak may, would, kayak gitu. Jadi harus diikuti kata kerja satu. So, not will reduced, tapi will reduce. Oke, number 9, marriage have been ya. Ada been itu kan bentuk ketiga. Jadi kalau bentuk ketiga, dia juga harus dikasih have. Atau kalau mau lebih simpel lagi, ya udah requires, kayak gini boleh. Marriage requires more money. Required more money juga boleh. Atau have been requiring more money juga bisa. Gitu. Jadi opportunity-nya banyak sih, nggak harus satu ini aja. Karena kalimat ini nggak ada keterangan waktunya. Jadi kalian open mau bikin ini jadi present tense, present perfect, atau past tense itu sangat bisa. Terus nomor 10, current issues, tend to discuss, tend to discussed. Ya nggak bisa ya, tuh itu temennya sama verb 1. Jadi tend to discuss, nggak pakai ed. Okay, so hopefully this explanation will help you to understand finite and non-finite verbs. And the further assignment upon this, I will share it in Google Classroom in written form. Thank you, everyone.